Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Country Comfort. Tonight we're going to do something a little Italiano. We're going to do my famous spaghetti sauce. Well, you got to do spaghetti sauce with spaghetti, so this is going to be a whole meal all by itself. So, we start out with a couple of nice things. We're going to cut up the vegetables we're going to add into the sauce. And then we're going to take the hamburger out. We're going to brown up the hamburger. We're going to throw the vegetables in. We're going to throw in some more vegetables. We're going to throw in the sauce, and then we're going to let it start to simmer for about an hour. Once we're done the simmering for about an hour, then we're going to go ahead and start it with the noodles. Once we get the noodles done, then we get the whole thing done. So, here we go. We're going to add, for tonight, an onion. We're going to use a green pepper. We're going to use, Daddy has his favorite aloha pepper. And of course, when you do your spaghetti sauce, you also got to have the celery to go along with it. We'll take this and toss it off to the side because we don't need it right now. So I'm taking that up and I'll put the celery back. This is the one where we're not going to go ahead and chop into the little tiny pieces. We like to leave it the bigger chunky stuff so that you can see what it is that you're going to eat. So, that's about enough of the Italian. I know it needs work. It's sad, but hey, come on. Let's pour a little over here. Have a little bit of fun. So this is one that Misty really likes, and I've been promising her. We haven't done it for a while, so I thought after the World War II, and she was patient enough with me for all that craziness earlier today, I figured we'd go ahead and do something nice. So let's start out same way we always do. Chop up the green peppers. Take the fuzzy stuff out. Oh look, the dog, she's a come over. Oh yeah, that's another thing. See, these are two of the tomatoes from our garden. We're going to go ahead and cut those up too. I think I'm not the big tomato cutter around here. That's another Misty thing. So we'll see how we do when we go to cut that up. Now, for right now, Harley. Yeah, hands never touch the dog. So don't worry. But Harley is my taste tester for veggies. Believe it or not, she is an American Bulldog Shar-Pei mix who is an omnivore, and she absolutely loves veggies. So you may have seen in the last video we did where she kind of kicked her little butt off to the side. She sits in the kitchen waiting for little things to drop so that she can get hers. So here we go. This is what we're doing with the green pepper. You cut a 1 or 2, you cut a 3 and a 4. Then you turn around, you put it over here, you just line them up, and you just cut them apart. You dice them into smaller pieces, but not too small pieces. So go all the way down. And as you get to the end, you get pieces that are not quite even. And you know what? That's kind of some of the fun. So the fun to this is you get pieces and parts that are not the same. All of these things, they go well together, but what we like to do is to set it up so that there is difference and variation. And with variation, do we get some of the fun. So, and I will cut the alohas to a different size. So, chop this bad boy up. La la la. When the moon hits your eye, it's like pizza pie. That's amore. I know, please don't sing country. There we are. Green pepper. And we'll bring the bowl over. And yes, indeed. Ton of stuff that goes in there. Good girl tonight while Daddy cooks? Huh? Are you? You even know what Daddy's saying? Yeah, you do. You're a smart puppy. Oh. Okay. I'll tell you what. is my replacement for a dog I lost about 5, 6 years ago now. And I was trying to find another guide dog to replace him, because I thought I needed a guide dog. That's just the way things work between Blade and I. And came across Harley as one of a litter of 11 pups who just were, poor things, draining their mother dry. Sorry, kiddo. Get that one off the floor. And mother just couldn't keep up with the puppies. So we got her when she was about 7 weeks, 8 weeks old, which is a little early to wean a dog, but when you're not getting the nourishment you need. So we got the bottle and got the puppy formula and fed her from a bottle for a little bit. It didn't take long before she was ready for something a little more substantial. And watched her grow. I've put a couple of videos up of her on my channel. She's an absolute sweetheart. And the way she used to play with Ginger, our older dog, Ginger kind of took to being a mother with her. Our oldest dog, Pasha, she was a little too old for motherly duties, so she was kind of sat in the sidewalk supervised. But Harley, as it turns out, is a guide dog. She loves to go for rides in the car, don't you? Yeah. And will not lean out the window or anything. And she's going. Big Aloha. This place is life. So, but I'll lay down, like to lay down for a nap this afternoon after we got done with the World War II rendition. I've actually been up since around 5 o'clock. As the dog's waking up in the morning. Off and rinse them real quick. And I know you're gonna say, so do you would. I now proclaim you wet celery. Finger. And there you're going, wait a minute, you were cutting the other pieces big. Yep. And some big and some thinner. So you get variety. And what you're doing. No fingers. That's it. Cooperation is key. Ta-da! There we go. That's the celery. Oh my goodness. Now, before I go to the other end, I got these the other day when I was going to do the hamburger bombs. I had some left over. I'll show you the hamburger bombs later. So I think that's enough onion actually to add in there. So I'm going to dump that. I'll save this onion for something else a little later. And watch me who doesn't cut up tomatoes. Misty was supposed to be out here to do this. So, pardon me if I woof it. These are some of the oddball tomatoes from our garden. Over there. Top freaking down. Oh. These are actually going to go in a different container to be added in a little bit later in the cooking. Because if I add them in now at the beginning with everything, we're going to end up with smushed maters and mater mush. And everybody knows nothing's yuckier than mater mush. So this is one of the cool things about having your own garden, is you get to add your own fresh veggies. And I'm sorry, this is two of our supposed to be cutting tomatoes, which for whatever reason turned out to be Frankenmaters this year. So I'm going to save that and put that in towards the end there. I want to get everything cut up and roll it. Get those in this little bowl because I'm going to add another couple cans of store-bought diced tomatoes and Italian sauce to it, just to give it some extra flavor. Sure. Okay, new view for everybody. We call this the frying pan view. So, got the hamburger here. Again, it's the all trustworthy 80-20 that I like to use. And we're going to dump that right on in. Here it starts to sizzle a little bit. Start to break that up a little bit. Start with big pieces. You don't have to chop it into little itty bitty teeny tiny pieces right off the get-go. You can. You know, that's what your choice is, the way you want to go with things. We add the squeezed garlic, which you've seen before. You're like, holy cow, that's a lot of garlic. Yes, it is. Again, that's the squeezed garlic. And to that, we are also, get my little holder out here. We're going to also add a few spices here. So, secret number one, I told you when I'm doing beef, shake it up a little, always add a little bouillon to it. Give you a little more robust flavor, not a lot. This is not something you want a heavy beef flavor to. Add Italian seasoning. Add a good dose of that. Back and forth. And then here's a secret. I also add pizza seasoning. Why? Because it actually brings out more flavor. It's got a rougher texture. And it's nummy. One that Mama doesn't know because she doesn't watch, but let's put in a little garlic salt on it. Not much. Just a little. You're like, well, wait a minute, you added garlic already. Yes, I did. And of course, the other thing is to add, there we go, some pepper. See my assistant trudging around here. And now we go back and start breaking it up more. Again, this is the 80-20, so there is going to be some grease. And people are like, don't you drain the grease off? No, actually I don't, because it adds to the flavor. And as chunky as the sauce is, believe it or not, it's kind of cool to have the extra moisture in here. as you will see when we get done. Okay, so now we dump in the other veggies. And get them stirred around. You can see that's a lot of chunk of sauce. That's the way we like it around here, is we like our sauce chunky. We don't like it where there's nothing to it. I don't like it where it's just kind of added on like you add ketchup on. We like there to be some substance to it. So we'll let this go here for a bit, and I'll go get the other ingredients we're going to add in, and I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. So, excuse me, we're going to add 1 can of petite diced Italian flavored tomatoes, 1 can of onion and roasted garlic diced tomatoes. Just adds to the flavor of things, varies things up a little bit. And we're going to add some mushrooms, because it's not proper spaghetti sauce without it. Now, you can, if you don't care for them, you can go ahead and do it without. That's entirely up to you. So, just a matter of taste. So get that drained. And then, always leave the tops attached a little bit and push them back in. You're in a house that's got dogs or small kids, it's a good idea to leave it set so when you push them back in, it keeps everything together, keeps the tops from popping out where kids or animals can get hurt. This last one, we're going to do the manual way. Not everything comes with speed and ease of use of a pop top, but you know, hey, that's the way life rolls sometimes. There we go. Get all that in. Now, the pièce de résistance. I know everybody's going, you're making it from scratch, right? Nope. Sorry. I prefer the Ragu Chunky Garden Sauce. Dump that in. And you don't want to waste any. So go over here and get a quick little blob of water out of the sink. Add that last little bit in. And toss that out. And then we're going to give everything a stir to get it all mixed around. Yeah, I know you can see the grease up there a little bit. There's also a little bit of liquid from the tomatoes. Still a little bit of liquid from the mushroom can. You can never get it all out perfectly and whatnot, but you see how thick this sauce is. The nice thing is, as this cooks, it's going to cook down and render much better. Stick our tomatoes from the garden in there. Yay! Chunky tomatoes. Add in extra tomatoey numminess. There you go. Believe it or not, those are going to render down where they're not going to be so chunky at the end. Alright, and now, this is where the magic comes in. Lid, put the lid on, turn it down to simmer. This will be about 275, 250-ish. If you're using an electric frying pan. And just let it go for about an hour. So we'll come out Give it a stir every few minutes. Probably every 10 minutes or so. And then once she's close to being ready, we'll come back and we'll start up with the spaghetti. And that's about it. All right, guys, here you go. And this is the sauce after the better part of an hour. I've turned it down so it'll stay on warm now, just to keep it going. But this has got everything pretty well cooked down, cooked up, incorporated together. And this is the sauce that you end up with. To put all over everything. Nice, thick, chunky sauce, where it's not just some thin condiment put on. I almost call it a meal in and of itself, so we'll leave that sit there. Now, Daddy did make one mistake, and that is I thought I had 2 boxes of a spaghetti. I only got 1, so we're only going to make a little bit of spaghetti tonight instead of a whole bunch of spaghetti. That'll be enough to deal with this for the meal, but you definitely want to have, when you're dealing with that much sauce and you want some leftovers for lunches for the next day, you want to overdo it just a hair so that you've got some extra spaghetti left to mix in with everything. So we're going to shut this bad boy down, leave the top on there, leave it on warm, and we'll get the spaghetti going in the pot. All right, this one I got to be a little careful on so I don't melt the edge of my tripod here, one leg of it, but you can see the water's starting to warm up. And I like to take, just for flavor's sake, I'm not a huge fan of the iodinized salt. It's okay, it works, but when I'm doing noodles, I actually prefer kosher salt. What you end up with is chunk pieces, crystals that are a little bit bigger than what you would normally have, but shake a good amount in there. You may think that there's a whole ton coming out. Unfortunately, the way my top popped on this one, it's blocking half of it. I don't want to end up pushing the top down in the canister and having it pop out in some hot boiling pot at some point. But you get your salt in there. Always add salt in beforehand. Number 1, it helps season and flavor your noodles. Number 2, it also helps keep the noodles from sticking when they get down in there. And as soon as this gets a little closer to a boil, we'll crack up the noodles here. Now, there's a bunch of schools of thought on the noodles. Some people will tell you that you leave them whole. Some people tell you break them in half. If you're looking for a Lady and the Tramp kind of thing where you start sucking on a noodle and you end up with half the plate down your throat before you get done, yeah, you can leave the noodles whole. Me, personally, in our family, we happen to prefer them broken in half. So it makes it a little bit easier to get individual forkfuls. Sorry, I got the junk caught in my throat tonight for some reason. I didn't sleep as well as I thought I did after the show. Whoop. And this is not quite ready to go yet. Yeah, but you know what? It's close enough. So, as long as you got some bubbling down at the bottom, you can really get started. You don't have to technically wait until your water is boiling to add in the pasta. As long as you stir it around when you first put it in there, then come back and stir it around a little bit here and there. So what you do is get yourself a nice big handful of it over here, break it apart, set one row in that way, one row in this way. Don't spend too much time over the pot. That's another reason why I don't like waiting until it's boiling, is because while I like my spaghetti boiled, I don't like my hands boiled. It's no fun. I've already cut a thumb. I don't want to boil the hands. So break up the next batch. Again, 2 different directions. It also helps separate it in the pot. Yeah, we might, on a 2-pounder, we might do enough spaghetti for this tonight. Have some leftovers. and not just leftover sauce. Although leftover sauce is cool, you can do all kinds of stuff with that. You got other noodles, you can turn around and make all kinds of stuff with it. We've used elbow pasta, or elbow macaroni, sorry. The day after, I've used ziti, I've used pan ricotta, you can use rotini. If I ever find it again, I swear to God, I'll get some Raditor and show you guys the Raditor, because Raditor is just absolutely cool, especially for my Italian baked casseroles. So, you like an Italian baked casserole? Yeah, an Italian baked casserole, they're pretty slick. So, one of the things I like is keep it simple. 1 or 2 dish meals, 2 pan meals, and it keeps everything going. Now, while that's going, because you can't do spaghetti without, oh goodness, garlic sauce, garlic toast. Yes, Jay can talk. Jay have that big. So, right, start here, and we're gonna get out the pan we're gonna use. Sorry for the noise. All right, so the garlic toast is pretty straightforward. Just get any brand. I prefer the cheesy ones, but it's kind of harder to find the cheesy ones right now. So go with this, and you want to set the oven to 450. And you can go ahead and get this started if you're timing stuff out. When you start your noodles, this doesn't really take that long to get the spaghetti cooked. We prefer ours a little on the al dente side. But this way, you get everything timed so you're not sitting there with the spaghetti noodles binding to each other. With the noodles binding together in the strainer. Hippity hoppity happity hiney down here. It's been a long day. So when you get them frozen, sometimes they don't like to come apart. I like to go ahead and get a knife in here. That looks like I'm going to have to work it from this side this time. So just work your knife in. There you go. Separate the 2 sides and leave the sides up. And there they will sit until we get the ding for the oven to go ahead and get that started. So, okay, here's a little life hack while we're back over on the spaghetti side. You can see the spaghetti's starting to limp up now and get cooked. So, you want to keep stirring that every so often, so that you don't end up with it clumping together. Clump together spaghetti sucks. It's kind of fun if you got kids where you can go, hey, find the clump, but you know, and the kids won't mind. But everybody else not such a big fan. Now, you notice we're starting to get some foam built up there. Not much right now, but there's a little bit that starts to build up. You also notice I got a cup of ice water here. What I do with this is, as it builds up, you'll have some people say that to keep a pot from boiling over, you put a wooden spoon across the top like so. You know what? I've had pots that boiled over when I did that. So what I found is much better, and we're going to deliberately let this go for a minute so you can kind of see it as it starts to heap up here, if it's going to start to heap up here. I may have turned it down enough where it won't really do that. But as the foam starts to heap up towards the top, what you do is you drop a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, enough to calm the boiling down, and set it back down. Now the boiling will resume fairly shortly, and start the foaming back up. Okay, so we're going to get some foaming here. And I'll show you, and it doesn't hurt the cooking of the noodles. It doesn't mess with anything, but It's a real quick and easy way to stop an overboil. You know, so if you're running around in the kitchen doing 3 or 4 things at once, and you need to, you got your attention divided, and you can't stand here watching, you know, sit here watching something. You just reach up and little bloop, and you can see all that stuff goes away. Now I've got some on the inside here you can't really see that's wearing down. We're still boiling. We haven't stopped the boil, but what you've stopped is you've stopped the foam from rising to the top and boiling over. And you know, you just want to kind of keep an eye on it here and there, because it will start up again. And when it starts up again and it starts to mound up again, you just drop another little bit in. It's a simple little hack. It's an easy thing. Don't drink from the cup unless you're only making the spaghetti for yourself. That would be kind of rude and nasty. But that'll give you a little bit of an idea for a simple little life hack to keep your pot from boiling on over. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I did off time the bread just a hair. But what we're going to do is I'll show you how we go ahead and get this all put together. Just with anything, there's 100 different ways you can do stuff. At our house, what we prefer to do is to put the spaghetti and the sauce all together. So let's see if we can do this without screwing up here. Whoa! Earthquake drill, earthquake drill. Alright, so here we go. I think that'll work. Tuck this over side by side so I make as little a mess as possible, because Mama doesn't like it when I make a mess. You'll notice, by the way, the sauce is kind of separated out a little bit. That happens, not a big deal. What you do is you just get back in, stir it back in together. And that's fine. And you can see we're right back to where we were before. It's not a thing. So we like to dish it all up in and then stir it all together. And that's how we do ours. Now, what I also do, and I always do this, because me, I'm kind of not exactly a purist, but I do like to have that, I don't know, call it crazy, call it my upbringing, whatever. I like to have that extra little blop of spaghetti sauce with all that goodness sitting on top. You know, call it I don't know, call it a Hallmark moment, call it a Rockefeller, or whatever the heck that guy's name was that used to do the Norman Rockwell, that's it. Call it a Rockwell moment, whatever. But the one thing that is good about incorporating it like this and mixing it all in is when you mix the grease and the sauce in with all the spaghetti, that helps keep the spaghetti from sticking together. Okay, you have to pardon me there, folks. A little technical difficulty called we ran out of memory on the phone. Had to juggle some files over. So we're going to wrap this up real quick here. Anyhow, this is your spaghetti. Once you get it mixed up here, it will keep the sauce will keep the spaghetti noodles from mixing together. Leave a little bit for a topper, and then we're going to go over here, and here is ouch, the garlic bread just came out the oven. See, that's all set to go. So we are ready to rock and roll. Next thing, I will show you everything plated on up. All right, gang, there it is, all piled up and plated up. So that's spaghetti with the garlic bread. Not too tough, not too, like I said, there's a little bit of pre-work for it, prep work. Overall, maybe hour and 20 minutes. So I like to add the Parmesan oregano, or Parmesan Romano cheese, not just the straight Parmesan. For me, it just is a little bit more tasty that way. So that's it. Spaghetti with the garlic bread. Have a good evening. Enjoy manja manja.